Hello, my name is AnthonyR.Green, and I'm a composer, a pianist, a vocalist, a sound-based performance artist, and my practice heavily involves social justice. And what that means is I create art based on issues that are very near and dear to my heart, such as the equality of Black people in the United States and around the world, justice and civil rights for the LGBTQ community, and other issues such as equality amongst women, and transgender issues specifically, and immigration, and more. Within my medium, I compose mainly chamber music and vocal music. And when I sit down to create a composition, it usually happens from one or two ways. The first way is that a group will ask me to compose something, and that group may give me a specific theme. And that makes my job a little bit easier. Then I don't have to come up with something on my own, because when you give me free will, then I'll just go crazy and try to put everything into a piece. So sometimes that's not the best way to go for me, to give me free will. But in the cases where an organization does say, I want you to come up with a piece on your own, or I'm just creating pieces for myself to eventually produce and perform or arrange production or performance of the piece, then I start to think about what I've already written, what needs to be composed, what needs to be created. Sometimes I also commission other people to work with me, such as writers or dancers or other musicians. And then I create a project or a piece or a collaboration, and we take it from there. What excites me about my practice is the amount of research that I do for my projects. So, as I mentioned before, much of my practice involves social justice. And so, for instance, when I wrote an opera based on a fictional transgender woman, I did about 2.5 years worth of research into transgender issues and about the transgender community. And I grew so much as a person just by undergoing this research and creating this opera. I've also done research about immigration, as I mentioned before. I do much research about Black composers of the past and the present for my organization called Castle of Our Skins, which is dedicated to celebrating Black artistry through music. And I've done quite a number of research on other issues as well. Right now I'm working on a project that's about Harriet Jacobs, who was a formerly enslaved woman who escaped her situation and eventually gained her freedom. And doing the research for this project has been troubling because of all of the negative situations that I'm reading about, but also quite rewarding because I'm reading about one of my ancestors' greatest achievements, and how she overcame such struggle and turmoil to end up having such a wonderful life. My earliest memory of creating is something that's perhaps a little bit difficult for me to pinpoint. As a child, however, I know that I wasn't so keen on reading nonfiction books. So whereas my friends were reading The Hobbit and other J.R.R. Tolkien books or Trixie Belden and Boxcar Mystery books, I was the one in the library who wanted to learn how to knit and to crochet and do macrame. I studied bookbinding and magic and bead making, and I really was that kid that asked for every Klutz book. I'm not sure if this is a thing today, but Klutz was a company that made these how-to books. how to make bracelets and jewelry, how to juggle, how to do magic, and all of these other things. And I was that child who always asked my mom for Klutz books as a child. So I made quite a bit of stuff as a child. And in terms of making music, I got into music at the age of 5 by playing piano by ear in kindergarten. So my kindergarten teacher would play some tunes on the piano in the corner of the room in our classroom, and I would repeat those same tunes that the teacher would play. And so I guess at that moment I wasn't necessarily creating, but eventually I did start to improvise and create my own melodies. I'm not sure when exactly that happened, but I would surmise that it happened in tandem with my general desire to create stuff like books and magic tricks and jewelry and blankets and mittens, etc., and so on and so forth. So because my practice includes playing piano and composing, I want to state that the piano aspect of my practice happened first. And I did compose as a child, but nobody ever really told me that you can do this, you can be a composer. And I came into that realization with the help of a friend in my undergraduate years at Boston University. So the first time that I felt like a professional artist as a pianist happened when I was about 14 or 15. I was honored by this group called the Black Women Entrepreneurs. I don't know why I was honored by this organization. I'm not a woman, and I definitely wasn't an entrepreneur at 15. But they decided to give me some award, and I had to play piano in front of a crowd of about 2,000 people at the Marriott Hotel in Boston. And I grew up in Providence, so Boston is an hour south of Providence. And I remember this was the first time that I played in front of a crowd that large, and I played a Schubert impromptu. And I remember getting on stage, and the lights that were shining on me as spotlights, they were so bright that I couldn't see my fingers. And so I had to play this Schubert impromptu practically blind. So I skipped the middle section and just fast forwarded to the end because I just didn't want to be on stage playing that entire piece in the dark. But after that situation, that was a moment where I really felt like a professional pianist, at least. And then the first time I felt like a professional as a composer, that's a little bit difficult because you get so many opportunities to have your pieces performed as an undergraduate and as a master's student, and it's hard to discern which of those are professional and which of those are just student opportunities that you achieve just by being a part of an institution. But I do remember in my master's, I was selected to have a piece played by one of the honors ensembles, which at that time was a string quartet. And the string quartet that I chose to have them perform is a piece called Chants. Now, I had written chants, spelled C-H-A-N-T-S, as part of a 4-movement, really ambitious string quartet that I composed between 2002 and 2004, I want to say. And then in 2007, I reduced Chants, C-H-A-N-T-S, to be 6 minutes rather than about 8 minutes. And I renamed it Chance, C-H-A-N-C-E. Now, I remember having nightmares the day before that piece was performed. I had nightmares thinking that the ensemble hadn't practiced it and the premiere would be a horrible, horrible train wreck of a performance. But when I attended the premiere, which happened in Jordan Hall at New England Conservatory, which is one of the best halls for music in the world, trust me it is, the ensemble performed it so well that it has become a staple recording in my own personal career. But also I've used that recording to get other opportunities. So because that recording was so good, and I think maybe because the piece is okay, I don't know, but because the recording was so good, lots of other ensembles have been playing chants as a string quartet throughout the world, especially in the United States. So it's been played by at least 10 ensembles, and it actually was just played a couple days ago at Apple Hill, which is a chamber music camp that I went to as a child. So I remember after that premiere thinking, wow, I did something special here.